Thank you for watching this section of For Love of Children's Distance Learning Program. Today we're going to be hearing from Brittany Okafor, a senior at Temple University with dual majors in history and secondary education. She'll be discussing how she performed well in a seminar course that she took last semester. And thanks for joining us to talk about your experience, Brittany.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so how about you go ahead and just tell us about your experience, the structure of the course, and what the expectations were of you, and after that give some advice to some of the students who might be taking their first seminar next semester.
Okay, the name of the course was History of Consumption in Europe. It was a seniors writing seminar. You had to write multiple 5-page papers, about 3 or 4, which we had assigned books, in the required text of the syllabus to read and write about those papers. You had to discuss those books in class. You also had like random articles that we had to discuss in class. And then we had a final 25-page research paper, which is on the topic of our choice within the world of European consumption. We had to do lots of research, obviously, for 25 pages. I think my research had about, I want to say, like 30 sources, including lots of court dates and stuff like that. Suggestions I have, I would say really get to know your teacher, talk to whoever they are on a regular basis. I used to go to my teacher probably about once or twice a week. Getting to know the research personnel in your library that can really help you find the sources that you need through your database and also with books in the library. Also just setting up a schedule for yourself, because obviously a long paper you need to, where the teacher doesn't assign like 5 pages do this day or 10 pages do that day. You just have to make a schedule for yourself, and if the teacher did do that, if they don't, because that'll really help you stay on track and not feel overwhelmed with the paper ever. Because definitely looking at the beginning of the semester, I was overwhelmed just by looking at the fact that I had to do a 25-page paper. But once I got the ball rolling, it wasn't that hard. And also what made it less difficult was my topic. I was semi-interested in it. Like, I'm not really interested in European history, but I chose the topic of school lunches and American and the European influence of the school lunches. And I mean, I'm interested in education, so that was like I said, a little interesting. So that made the research a lot easier. And also, you're going to be doing this researching this topic for like 3 months, so make sure that you're invested in it in some way and you care in some way. What else? I would also recommend that you get to know your classmates and see where they are in the process. Sometimes that can make you feel a lot better, or if need be, a lot worse about where you are and make you want to catch up. In my case, it was the former. Once I learned that my classmates were really behind, I felt good about what I was doing, and I like really could take a deep breath and keep up at my same pace. There were about 16 of us, so it was a very intimate class. So, you can't hide in a class like that. I would say always, get your voice out there, whether it's talking about the readings or the topic. And like I said, just developing that relationship with your professor, which you should know to do by now.
Well, on the note of that, what was the discussion like in your seminar?
Well, discussion was daily. Pretty much everybody had to speak. We would, go around the room and talk about the readings. You really had to know about whatever the reading was for that day. So I would say, prioritize your classes, and usually this one will be at the top of your priority, considering you needed to graduate. And you kind of want a good grade in it, because if you are applying to a job, when they look at your transcripts, they're going to see if you have mastered your subject. And that class, I think, has proven that I have mastered history, so, and writing and stuff like that. So, you know, just have it at the top of your priority list.
And what would you do to prepare for each class in terms of the discussion and also the paper?
Well, just like okay, so one reading tactic that I thought, well, that I found really helpful, which my teacher helped me with, you know, after having a conversation with her outside of class, she told me that I should just read the first, so like if it was a 50-page reading, just read the first sentence in each, well, read the introduction and the conclusion entirely. So like the first couple pages first, the last couple pages, but then in between that, just read the topic sentence and the conclusion sentence to each paragraph. That will give you a basis for, you know, whatever you want to discuss. And if you see like a name within the paragraph, research that name. And then by that time, you know, you pretty much grasp the reading and are able to talk about it, able to figure out what the writer was arguing. And all of those readings were really just helping us being able to pick through our research, because obviously 30 sources, you're not going to read every single page of the articles you got and the books you got, but you're by that point a better researcher because you know how to read and comprehend without reading all those pages, which is like virtually impossible.
And about how far into the semester did you wait before you started doing your research?
I waited until about, I say like a month and a half into the semester until I started doing my research, because an annotated bibliography was due for my topic. So, but you know, I always recommend I would recommend to start researching earlier, like really at the beginning. You know, talk to your professor. That's the most important part, and she or he can help you figure out, you know, which way you want to go on your topic, and you know what questions you want to ask, and like your thesis. And from then on, even if it's not answering that specific question because you changed your question or whatever, that research probably still is going to help you in some way if your topic is anywhere near that. So, yeah, just start researching, and also start learning how to research, because, like I said, talk to the research guide in the library, and start figuring out how to do that, so that once you sit down to research, you're not just like, wait, how do I even find sources? And, you know, we all think that we can research until you have to research like 30 things that have to do with this one very specific topic. So, you know, I know how to use like the database at my school, but I didn't know exactly what words to put into the search bar, and like, you know, the plus signs and the quotes and stuff like that. So all that stuff is useful.
So you have any specific advice on how to make the most of doing research? And also, how much time would you spend every week about once you started doing research for your semester paper?
Well, research was definitely more time-consuming than writing. I will say that. Like I said, to find that specific research for your specific topic was very difficult, especially because my research entailed looking up a lot of stuff in the Library of Congress. And, you know, some stuff is like just a debrief of what happened, and some stuff is like stuff that I can really use. So picking through that was hard. I would say I'm not sure if it's different at every school or whatever, but, you know, like when you research, if you're trying to research one thing, but, okay, so my topic was history of school lunches, so I would put school and lunch, but then I would get all these things about, you know, school would be literally written one time in the text, and lunch would be written somewhere else, but not pertaining anything anywhere to school lunch. So, you know, writing quote, school lunch, quote, made it so that school lunch would definitely be together in the text. And then you can click, do you want that in the title, or can it be anywhere in the text? So depending on what you're looking for, stuff like that, kind of like the simple thing. But like I said, always talk to your research guy, because they can help you with your specific topic. I spent a lot of time with the guy that helped me. And they're professionals. I mean, a lot of them have degrees in library science.
So your advice for that would be to fully understand the search functions of the online databases, and also to talk to the research librarian, something that you've emphasized a number of times so far.
Right.
Do you
And
have?
also knowing how to look for books. Like I know in elementary school we learned how to look for books in the library. But, you know, when you get to school, it's like millions and millions of books. So I would say really having that down to T and being able to notice when a book isn't there. Because, like, you can look in that area and they won't believe you if you don't know how to look for books and you say that the book isn't in the area. I mean, it isn't there. So, you know, really making sure that you know how to look for books. I mean, it's like a lot of different codes and stuff like that. So
Understanding the Dewey Decimal System that they use in most
right,
university
exactly,
libraries is a bit different than
exactly.
the public library.
Right, right.
All right. Well, any other interesting details about your experience in the seminar or other tips that you might
Well,
have?
yeah, I would say just give your best because at the end of the semester it'll feel really good if you've written like the best paper you've ever written in your life, which I feel like I did, just because of the preparation and after the rough draft, doing the final draft, I just felt really good about my paper, you know, making all the changes that your teacher recommends, going to the writing center, have them look at your paper. They won't be able to look at 25 pages for content, organization, grammar, but just pick one of those things that you feel like you're not doing that well on or that your teacher has recommended that you need to brush up on, and just have them focus on that, and they can really help you. Because I know mine was organization. So after I went to the writing center, I flipped my whole paper around, and it sounded really good. And I think my teacher appreciated that. And like I said, I feel like I've written the best paper ever, and it's a good feeling to have, especially as a senior. Like, you know, you feel like you've kind of like you feel just like you've grown a lot since your freshman year or sophomore year. So really just put your best foot forward.
Great. Well, it sounds like you've given a lot of really useful information about taking seminars and also writing research papers. So I hope that other FLOC students will be able to take something valuable away from this. And I want to thank you again for joining us today. And
No problem. Thank you.
Great, and sharing your experience. And that is going to be it for this video. So I'm going to go ahead and if students would just follow up by taking the survey, and that would be fantastic.